In today's world, in order to achieve success, we must embrace disruptive technologies. And right now I have with me Archie Japaridze, who's an expert on that. He comes to us from Singularity University Labs. And hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Like you mentioned, we have a lot of the technologies that are now coming online. Were at one time very slow, very clunky, very expensive. And now they're becoming to the point where they're actually usable by anything from small startups, which is what I did a lot of work with, to ordinary people, to really, really large companies. And so these technologies are able to touch across industries in basically any area that it encompasses. So these things and these technologies are things like artificial intelligence, things that are like drones, robotics, sensors, computing, all these things that at one time were prohibitively expensive have now the ability to basically be embedded into your smartphone.
So what exactly is disruption?
That's a $1 million question right there. Yeah, I would frame disruption as an aggressive move away from a status quo, a forced move away from a status quo. So disruption is something, and this is hard a lot of times for companies that have established products, established businesses to do, because what you really need to tell yourself is there's a piece of this company that's very, very healthy. There's even a piece of this company that's been sustaining us for a very long time, but it will in the future be unsustainable, and we need to disrupt ourselves before somebody else disrupts us, like a startup. A really good example of this is actually the film industry. So Kodak is a company that actually developed the world's first digital camera in Kodak Labs in the 70s. They never saw promise in it, to their credit, because in the 70s you couldn't have digital imaging, you didn't have really computers in homes, they had no way to print it, and the camera itself was very poor quality. But they shelved this with the idea that this digital imaging technology would never be a thing, and we all know the story. I mean, when was the last time you bought a roll of film?
Never.
Right. Exactly.
I think I might have never done it because I was a little kid when those were around.
Exactly. And now you have an amazing camera in your pocket, right? You have a camera that takes sometimes award-winning photography, and you don't even know really it's a camera because it's all embedded into your smartphone. So these technologies have gotten to the point where incredible power, incredible sophistication, and incredible expense has led to, over time, these prices falling and the power rising to the point where now you don't even think about the camera that you have in your pocket as being anything but just an attachment to your phone.
When do you know that your company or your startup is in need of a disruptive technology, a disruptive way of thinking? How do you know when's the right time?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. And that's also company dependent. Startups ideally should be the disruptors. So if you're a startup that's entering an incumbent industry, and if you're doing things in the same way as other people are doing it, that are bigger than you, that have more money than you, that have resources than you, that can definitely put you out of business, you're doing it the wrong way. So if you're approaching it from the startup lens, you need to look at what is this really large industry that's either moving slowly or has a pain point that these companies can't address, and how can I needle my way into that pain point and steal that market? If you're a big company, a lot of it is looking at where these trends are going. What we teach a lot about is that, with the power of this technology, a lot of the things that used to cost a lot of money, that used to be prohibitive to people, become, in essence, free. Storage is a really good example. Like cloud storage or data storage used to be an incredible expense. You could not run a lot of startups that you could run today because you need to buy a server somewhere. Not even rent it, so you'd have to build your own server or somewhere. It was insane. You could not do it. And then eventually, we get to the point now where you have cloud computing, where for X amount of dollars a month, you could get however many gigabytes you want anywhere for no issue. And so that enables a lot of these other technologies to come along with it.
Is disruption for everyone?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I definitely think there are industries that are have been traditional for a really long time, and because of that, they have built up enough defensibility where disruption will take longer, or something that is inherently less tech heavy. And I think if you have something that's like tech heavy, you're less likely to be disrupted by at least a tech player. But I do feel that the mentality of disruption is for everyone. And what the mentality of disruption at its core is what am I doing now? Am I critically understanding that what I'm doing now is not always going to be necessarily in demand? And if it is necessarily in demand, what am I doing for my customers that will keep being in demand? And so I think a lot of what disruption eventually tailors back to this idea of like, what am I providing to the world / my customers? Are they getting value out of it, and how do I give them more value? I think if you approach business through that lens, at some point you'll come across the verge of disruption, because you'll realize at some point that either the process or the products or the systems you have are a little outdated, or you need, you just basically need to enter new markets, new territory, whatever. But you need to provide.
Do you have any last tips for entrepreneurs that are watching us right now?
Oh my gosh, tons. The thing that we tell all of our startups always is really understand the problem of what you're solving, like really get deep into the problem that you're solving. And you should be solving the problem. For us, we had a lot of teaching around solving really large problems that affect a lot of human populations. That's one type of problem. And you could also solve a problem of nobody knows how to order food quickly. Like that was a problem at one time, and now that problem has been solved by a lot of companies. It's still being solved by one company, but whatever you see people have a pain point, focus on that pain point relentlessly and over-test rather than overthink is one thing I would have. We have an amazing mentor named Archie, who I love listening to, and his whole treatise is that overdo, don't overthink. Like if you're wondering if somebody will pay $6 for your certain type of photo sharing app, interview 10 people in a coffee line. Like find through work rather than finding through getting in your own brain and testing.
So listen
and do, and do quickly, and focus on that one big thing, and then drive relentlessly at it.
Thank you very much, Archie. If you have any questions or comments for Archie or for us at Technology Hub, remember we have social media. I think we're going to have to edit that.
Is that a thing here?
But I mess it up. So if you have any questions or comments for Archie or for us, remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and various other social media platforms that we have. And remember, we are connecting minds.